Hey there, this is Dan's Midwest Angling. Today we're going to talk about the Mercury Marine 4-stroke outboard break-in procedure. So you've just repowered your boat or bought a brand new one, and your dealer mentioned something about a break-in? Many people have questions about or are even intimidated by this process. The truth is, it seems a lot more complicated than it actually is. And having just performed this process on my 2022 Lund SSV with a Mercury 60 horse tiller on it, I thought I would share my experience with you and let you know it's not that bad. Here are 6 common questions about the break-in period that you might be asking. 1. What is a break-in period? When an engine is produced, there are several components that aren't quite seated yet, and they can only be seated by heat and pressure. An example would be your piston rings. Break-in is the applying of a controlled engine load to seat these components. Failure to follow this procedure can lead to oil consumption and poor compression, which can shorten the life of your motor and give you bad performance. There are 2 distinct phases of Mercury's break-in period, which total to the first 10 engine hours of operation. I like to refer to them as active break-in and passive break-in. Active break-in is the first 2 engine hours and involves actively varying the throttle. Each hour of active break-in has its own distinct parameters. These parameters are laid out in your owner's manual. Hour 1 calls for varying engine speed up to 3,500 RPM, or approximately half throttle. Hour 2 calls for varying engine speed up to 4,500 RPMs, or approximately 3/4 throttle, but every 10 minutes running at wide open, or full throttle, for approximately 1 minute. Once you've completed the first 2 hours, you've now moved into the passive break-in phase. In this phase, you no longer need to actively vary the throttle. You just need to make sure that you don't run at wide open throttle for more than 5 minutes at a time. The passive break-in phase lasts for 8 engine hours. Question 2. How often should I vary the throttle? The Mercury manual does not specifically say how often you should vary the throttle, other than every few minutes. I chose to do 1-minute intervals because it's a nice, easy number to deal with. The stopwatch app on your phone will be very handy for this. Just make sure that you change your screen settings so that your screen stays on for more than a few minutes. Just set your stopwatch, and every minute, bump the throttle up by 1,000 RPMs until you get to 3,500 or 4,500 RPMs, depending on which hour of break-in you're in. And then, bump it down by 1,000 RPMs till you get back to idle. Just keep doing this step up, step down process, and you'll be through the first 2 hours in no time. Using the stopwatch will also help you know for sure that each hour of break-in has been completed. Question 3, where should I do my break-in? You should try to go to a large, deep lake that is free of hazards. That way you'll be free to just cruise and enjoy the ride. You should also try to do it on a day with minimal boat traffic, like a weekday or early in the morning. Definitely do not go on Memorial Day weekend or the 4th of July. Question 4, what if my boat doesn't have a tachometer? The Mercury Vessel View app is a great tool that can help you see all kinds of things like engine hours, fault codes, even your tachometer. But it's also pretty expensive and, well, I chose not to buy it. I just stuck painter's tape on the handle of my tiller, right at the throttle, and marked where it would be at full throttle, with the engine off of course, and then also eyeballed 3/4 and halfway, maybe dialed back a little bit. The manual just says to go up to 3,500 and 4,500 RPMs. So if you're a little bit lower than that, it's not going to be a problem. You'll still be within the parameters of the procedure. You could also easily do the painter's tape trick on the shifter box of a side console boat. Question 5, how should my motor be trimmed? Your motor should be trimmed all the way down. In this position, your motor's trying to lift the bow of the boat up and out of the water, and that takes a lot of work. That's going to give you the load that you need to help seat these parts. Question 6, it's been 10 hours. What now? Well,
you did it! Congratulations!
Your Mercury outboard is now ready for years of making memories on the water. Just make sure you get it to your Mercury dealer for your 10-hour break-in service. They'll go through everything and make sure that it went through the break-in process up to snuff. They'll also make sure that they record that this service is performed. And that way, if you ever have a warranty issue, then you'll be covered on performing your scheduled maintenance. After your 10-hour service, be sure to go back every year or every 100 engine hours. Keeping your motor well maintained is how you're going to make it last. I hope this answered any questions you might have on this very important process. This has been Dan's Midwest Angling. And if you found this helpful, please hit that like button. And if you'd like to see any future boating or fishing how-tos, please do me a favor and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.